us a little preview, please?
Well, you know, I'm kind of putting an outline together, but it's a long way from being done, and we'll start loading the teleprompter. There'll be no teleprompter, or any prepared text or anything else. We're going to talk about what we've done, what we intend to do, and there'll be, you know, probably a couple surprises in there. I think what I'm excited about is going there. You know, this is the first time in history a governor has taken a state of the state out of Columbus. And you know, I don't know whether you know this or not, but I've traveled extensively in the last year. It's been documented by many of the people here based on plane trips. But anyway, I've been all over the state. And you know, if you want to find out where the problems are, you can't just sit in Columbus and go to the state treasury and count your money. So I'm just thrilled to be going to Steubenville. Before we made the announcement, I talked to a couple people that I know who are from Steubenville, and they were just so pumped up because that place has been beaten down for so long. Some people don't even know where it is. So I expect to, you know, to really be able to shine the light. The cabinet's going to go. They'll be able to sit with people, and I think it'll be pretty regional too. You know, I don't know how many trips, for example, to Cleveland, how many trips to Toledo, and being able to go over there is consistent with what I've been trying to do for the last year. I just think just staying here is not the right thing to do, and boy, it gives you a different perspective. But what I'm Fred, most excited about, they're excited. And if they're excited, that's really cool, because that means that you're doing some good for people who are going to shine a light on a place that's special. And home of Dean Martin. Other questions?
Hi, Governor. Thanks for coming to see us. I'm Peter Matisse, the editor in Findlay, and we don't get to see you that often.
Oh, I've been to Findlay a bunch of times.
Well, I'm saying as opposed to the State House Court.
I'll be up there soon. I think I'm up there tomorrow. Yeah. Very convenient.
Well, we'll be waiting for you.
Yeah.
I am going to ask you parochial questions.
Sure.
We don't see you. Are you aware of the situation at Cooper Tire, and has your administration been involved in any way so far?
Well, I talked to Roy Arms at the beginning of this, and you know, this is not something where the state wants to kind of fly in and negotiate a labor agreement with a company, but hopefully it'll be resolved soon.
And what might your administration do to ensure the plant stays in Findlay?
Well, they ought to reach an agreement so that there isn't an incentive with the company to move the plant out of Findlay.
What are incentives you can offer?
Incentives to do what?
Well, there's talk about that this labor disagreement puts the plant in jeopardy.
Well, but maybe the labor dispute needs to be settled. I think, look, I think Findlay's a very special place in Ohio. Every time, it's just a really great town, and I just hope that my understanding is the local union, I don't want to get into all the details, had agreed on a settlement, and then the international came in. And what I worry about are people there, if that plant would move, and I'm not telling you it is, I have no idea that it would, but you know, I worry about those workers. I worry about the spouses and the children that would be affected, and the workers if the place left. I would see no reason why it would leave if they got a settlement, but I'm not in the management, I'm not on the board. I understand there is a labor agreement going to be reached perhaps today in another part of the country, and we've not seen massive labor problems. I mean, let's think about it a little bit. You know, you look over at Lordstown, and they reached a great agreement with the UAW there. They reached a good agreement with Chrysler. There was a great agreement reached with Ford. When I go over to Youngstown, Mahoning Valley, G&M Star Steel, you know, they don't even have a union. And then when I met with some companies that had unions, the union leaders said, hey, we've got to make sure this is a partnership. So I've not seen you know, some big outbreak, and frankly, I've been surprised by this. I really have been surprised by it. But I'm not in the middle of doing the negotiating. I don't represent management. I don't represent labor. And I'm concerned about it because I want Findlay to thrive. So But in terms of, you know, incentives, I can't offer a pay package to workers. Maybe to the paper, I could consider that, depending on how you write.
Governor?
Yes.
Pardon, by all appearances, you and Superintendent Hefner are pretty much working arm in arm on education reform. Why is the Office of 21st Century Education still needed, and what particular role do you see for Dick Ross?
Well, look, I think K through 12 education is a challenge for the entire country. I know that one of the people that does teacher evaluation with me met with the 12 states that won race to the top grants, and there is just a great concern that moms and dads really do not understand the performance of their school. Now, 67% of Ohio parents, I'm told, according to one of the polls, thinks the schools are doing a great job. But 41% of our high school graduates are in 11th and 12th grade remedial courses at the universities, which drives up the costs. And I think it probably also contributes to these enormously high dropout rates. Because, you know, when you go to college, you want all this cool stuff is going to happen, and you're taking like 12th grade math, and you see a very big dropout rate. So Stan Hefner is he's a great guy. He is very alarmed with the current situation. As one of the presidents of one of the universities said, is I have kids in remedial programs who come from schools that are labeled excellent, and this whole system we have to just tell the truth about what is going on with our education system. And so I think you're going to see a large group of people who are going to be involved with this, and I have been recruiting them, whether they're chambers of commerce, CEOs. We just need to let people know what's going on, and that doesn't mean that we don't have great teachers and we don't have great schools, because we're going to be at Wells Academy, which is the #1 performing school in the state. There are many dedicated people in really good institutions. But we're going to have to let people know that we can do far better than what we're doing in a 41% remediation rate, and I don't even know what the dropout rate is when they're making their way to college. Somebody told me there's like a 38% dropout rate in some of our urban high schools. I mean, 38%. I don't know if all those numbers are correct, but it's certainly an idea that we have difficulty. And the solutions lie in more money into instruction. The solutions lie in more parental involvement. So we have to keep working on this. And this is going to take a long time to get people where they need to be to understand that there are additional reforms that need to be made. This is a long way to go. We've made some improvements with what we've done with vouchers and charter schools, but we still got teacher evaluation, but we have a long way to go. And I have to say, some teachers would be confused about this. You know, here you have somebody saying you got 41% remediation, but their school's labeled excellent. So they say, well, it's not my problem. And so that whole system of how we judge how our kids are doing needs to be reevaluated, which I know Stan Hefner's doing. Hey, look, I mean, forget all the politics. You've got to make sure your kids are getting the tools they need to do what it is that they were made to do. And we're just not getting it done for enough of our students. And that's what we've got to work on.
Just a quick follow-up.
Sure.
Does that make Mr. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, again, this has to do with Dick Ross. Does that make Mr. Ross kind of more of an ambassador than a policymaker?
Oh, no. Dick Ross was a great reformer in Reynoldsburg. And, I mean, he talks the language, he has credibility. I mean, we're just going to be a big combination with Barbara Matei Smith and Sarah Dove and Dick Ross and Stan Hefner and all of them. This is a big challenge for us. And it's a big challenge to wake people up to the fact that we can do much better.
Staying on education, Matt Herding with 700 WLW out of Cincinnati. There's an anti-bullying bill that's coming to your desk here soon. It's 155, the Jessica Logan Act. Just wondered if you could comment on that piece of legislation and maybe what you think the state government's role should be.
I just don't have enough details to comment. I know my staff was talking about it the other day, but I haven't been briefed on it yet. I mean, clearly, you know, somebody told me the other day, and I don't have these figures, but we have a problem with teen suicide. I mean, we've seen it for a long time. Now, whether bullying contributes to that, whatever, it's something that needs to be addressed. And one of my friends is a lady who's, you know, spent her life being involved in social activities, and her husband brought this to my attention. You got to think that being an outcast contributes to this. But I haven't seen the bill, haven't studied it, but we'll get to it. You know, just to give you a sense, I mean, every day people come and I have people come and sit in my office and watch what we do all day long, and they spend about 3 or 4 hours and then tell me they got to go rest. You know, is this what this is like every day? Because, you know, we're constantly moving things all the time, and so everything kind of has its place when the time comes.
Governor, I'm Andy Young with the Chronicle-Telegram in Elyria. Recently, you announced some pilot programs in job training at 3 community colleges across the state. One of them was our Lorain County Community College. Our college is going to be working on...
I love the Avon Lake announcement, too, for Ford. That was fantastic.
We did, too. Ford is investing a good deal of money in Avon Lake.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I don't want to lose this thought. I mean, that is a good example of being able to get manufacturing jobs back in America. You realize, because you covered the story, that this happened because they closed operations in Mexico and moved them to Ohio. Another example of it is Republic Steel, where the company in Mexico invested, I don't know, 50 million, whatever, in Republic Steel. We also saw it down in Butler County with ThyssenKrupp, where they were thinking about going to Mexico, and they actually, I think, have moved a little bit more business. But this whole manufacturing is a key for us. But I've spent a lot of time thinking about it. I mean, some of the economics is what forced companies to leave, and you didn't want to shut the company down if you needed to do something in another place to save money and yet still keep your operation open here. But I'm very concerned about people kind of giving up on the idea of manufacturing, mothers and fathers telling their kids you shouldn't go into manufacturing. Because if you look at Ohio, you can see it's coming back, whether it's the auto industry, whether it involves aerospace, or making lots of things that are not just directly connected in the way we think about, and the energy business. Because the manufacturing jobs, helps us to have a stronger middle class. And I am concerned about people that have good paying jobs, they lost their jobs. That's why we have to do job training to get them retrained so they can have value and get new jobs so that their family can be better off. I do worry about this problem of a shrinking middle class.
Well, let me follow up then on the job training issue, which is where I started. The community college, as I said, was one of 3 chosen to pilot job training programs. They agreed to do it.
I don't know how exactly they got picked, but they were great to say they wanted to, for minorities.
Yes, indeed. There is no money for that project. The college is expected to use its own resources. Last week, the college raised tuition for next year 3.5% on top of a 3.5% increase last year. Job training, as done by a community college, is becoming more expensive in Lorain County. What is your administration going to do about that?
I think, first of all, we have about a 10% graduation rate in community colleges across the country. Secondly, I've been meeting with community colleges, and I had a group of people in charge of workforce training agree that we need to train people, and then when I left the room, they said they have a lot of other things to do as well. And that's like asking a fireman, what do you do? Well, I don't have a lot of time to put out fires. I have other things I need to do. Community colleges they have an opportunity, and I talked to the gentleman that heads them all up. Community colleges' #1 deal is to get people trained. That should be their entire focus. I mean, I can't tell you exactly what they're doing in the school. I can't tell you how they're dealing with the resources, but I can tell you that Gordon Gee, who represents higher ed, says this administration is more friendly to higher education than about any place in the country. And Gordon says now that we have what we need, we better produce for the governor. I think it's fantastic that Gordon is doing this. I think they need to husband their resources and they need to have a focus. And some of our community colleges are doing a great job. Now, here's what we've asked Lorraine to do, or they've agreed to do. You have to set up a program to train people in management so that our minorities can get ahead. I don't know that that takes a big funding initiative. You know, move it around. Frankly, our community colleges today are not doing a good enough job in training our workers. They're just not. But we're going to make sure that they start, because this could make them the best community college system in the country. This could put them on the map, and job training is what they should be doing. So I don't know what their budgets are. I haven't seen them, but I don't know whether you know this or not. But you know, we don't have a lot of money to be passed. There's no money tree down here. If you go around in Columbus and look, you're not going to see any money like stashed away in a corner somewhere. We are being very tight-fisted, because what we don't want to do is to get ourselves in a hole. I mean, Senator Niehaus has just come in, and he and I talk all the time about the revenue projections. We have to watch them. And we're not going to raise taxes, because we're just going to kill the state if we do that, because we become less competitive. And I don't want to take us back to the point where we're losing 400,000 jobs, like we have been in the past. So we all have to work together, become more efficient, more effective, but the community colleges have a tremendous opportunity to become all-stars, and I believe they'll do it.
I would just point out